Yes, I owned a fabrication company for a number of years. I started it, I ran it, the economy tanked in '08 and we closed it up. We weren't solving a problem in the industry, we were making a niche product for a hobby. We made really hardcore off-roading products. When the economy collapsed in '08, nobody was hardcore off-roading. We didn't have a problem to solve. So you gotta make sure you're solving that problem and, especially people looking to go, hey, I wanna go start a business. Find a problem that you're passionate about solving, because if you're passionate about solving that problem, you're gonna do whatever it takes to knock down whatever brick walls are put up in front of you, and they will get put up every single day. We're almost 10 years into the journey. There's still brick walls put up every single day. There's days you look at each other and you're like, why are we still doing this? Like, why are we banging our heads on the wall? And it's like, because we have a problem to solve.
Welcome to MakingSparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, MakingSparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. We're continuing our special FabTech edition here at FabTech in Orlando 2024. I'm your host, Casey Velker. Sitting next to me is my co-host, Matthew Nix. We're here sitting at the ProFab Alliance booth. And these episodes are brought to you by Pacific Press Holdings, manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic press brakes and presses. So we really appreciate them sponsoring all these episodes, giving us the opportunity to come here and create some good content for our listeners. I'm going to let Matthew introduce who we got here. It's going to be kind of a fun conversation. So Matthew, I'll let you go ahead and introduce him.
Yeah, we've got Matt Bush here with us today from HireBotics, and we're going to talk a little bit about welding robots, and there's no shortage of those at the show here today. I think, how many welding robotic companies are there now?
Oh, we don't even know. I think last year at FabTech, we counted there was about 45 different booths showing Cobot Welding. So not even robot, not traditional
Cobot,
robots,
yeah.
Just Cobot Welding. And you walk around the show here and it's everywhere. I was joking yesterday or Monday when we were setting up, take a handful of BBs, throw them in the air, and they're all going to hit a Cobot.
Yeah.
So it's really blown up. We started in 2019, we came out with the first Cobot welding system. I think there was 3 of us at the show in Chicago that year. There was us with Airgas, Radiarc, there was Vectus, and then there was Lincoln, or Fanuc had one in their booth, but it really wasn't a product. It was just demoing. You fast forward to today, and there's probably 50 or 60 companies doing Cobot welding.
For the novice, can you just talk us through the difference between a robot and a Cobot?
So, the big difference is around the safety. So you look at your robots, your traditional robots, what we think of as 6-axis robots. They're large, they're heavy, they're fast. They're behind safety cages because they don't have any presence of you being there. And they can really hurt you. There's a fatality every once in a while in the industry globally. Cobots really came about 20 years ago, looking at how workers were working in factories and saying, workers are working like robots. Why don't we have robots doing those jobs? Well, it's hard to put a robot in a big cage on a line. And so a group said, let's build a robot that's collaboratively safe. So the whole Cobot it's a collaborative robot. They're inherently safe in that the safety is built directly into the controllers. So the robots are designed such that they're going to, through force, through speed limiting, through something, they're going to either run really slow or they're going to be able to detect that they've hit you. So like our robots that we use universal robots. I don't have a problem standing in the cell with them, and if it runs into my shoulder, it's just going to stop when it hits me. It's going to be a little light tap. I'm going to say, got out of the way, hit enable, press play, keep going. So that's really the biggest difference. Where they've really started to blur the lines is, Cobots are getting bigger. We now have 25 and 30 and 35 kilogram Cobots. Robots are getting smaller and a little easier to use. You've got some guys that are starting to integrate safety systems into traditional type arms, Skawa, Fanuc, to where you can work a lot closer to the robot. Speed and separation monitoring, force limiting, things like that. It's all about trying to get the robot closer to the work and the humans that are also doing the work. And really getting us as humans out of doing those monotonous robotic tasks that none of us really want to do. And the reason why all manufacturers are really struggling to hire not just welders, but assemblers and machinists and everything else.
Hey guys, just a reminder, this FabTech MakingSparks episode is brought to you by our friends at Pacific Press Holdings, the trusted manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic press brakes and presses. For over 75 years, Pacific has been a leader in crafting high-quality hydraulic presses, press brakes, and shears, trusted by businesses across the metal fabrication industry. Whether you need a custom-built press or a standard solution, Pacific delivers precision-engineered equipment designed to last. From consultation to installation and ongoing service, their team is committed to helping your business stay ahead. And for over 80 years, Multipress has been the go-to name for hydraulic press solutions that prioritize precision and performance. From C-frame presses to specialized assembly solutions, Multipress combines innovative engineering with unmatched reliability, making them a trusted partner for manufacturers in metal forming and assembly. You're not just buying machines. You're investing in a legacy of expertise, innovation, and support. To learn more about Pacific, visit pacific-press.com. And to learn more about Multipress, visit multipress.com.
What do you see as the biggest trend right now in the Cobot space? Like what?
So, I mean, there's really two big areas that have seemed to really blow up over the last couple of years. Cobot Welding has really just taken off. You know, if you look at traditional robotic welding, it serves a very small portion of the welding space, right? The robots are big, they're expensive, they're more difficult to program. So you have a very small portion. I was talking to a large robot seller. They're like, hey, for every 100 opportunities we get to look at, about 10 of them actually fit a traditional cell. Of those 10, 1 or 2 will actually buy. But what about the other 98? They still need automation. So that's really where Cobot Welding has stepped in, is how do you take the tasks that are being done manually today, low volume, high mix, non-repetitive, things like that, and put a robot on them. So that's been blowing up big. And the other big one that's really popped up over the last couple of years is palletizing with cobots. You know, you got guys standing at the end of a line putting boxes on pallets all day. You know, can you get a cobot to do that? And so when you walk around, not so much this show, but like IMTS, Automate, you look around everywhere you see, it's like here with Cobot Welding, there it's Cobot palletizing. So those are the two big things that have really blown up because it's a labor issue, right? I need people to stand at the end of the line and just collect boxes. Nobody wants to do the job.
When you talk about low volume, high mix, and that's really the world I live in for the most part. I mean, we have some runs where we might do 1,500 parts or something, but for the most part, pretty low volume, high mix. And so we've traditionally not been a business that's adopted robotics. We do have one Cobot running in each of 2 locations right now, so we're pretty new into it. But what would you say is kind of the breaking point for a volume run before it starts to make sense?
Yeah, so I was just having that conversation.
I know it's a loaded question. It
it's a
depends
loaded
on the
question.
part.
Depends, right? I was having that conversation with a customer a few minutes ago. He's like, "Hey, we only make 1 or 2 of something," and I'm like, "We've got a customer in Australia that makes one-offs. Every job they do is unique." And you ask him, like, why do you have a Cobot? And he goes, because of the weld quality. I can teach your system faster than I can weld it. Right, because it only takes me about a minute to teach it. It takes about 5 or 6 minutes to weld the part. Because then I get a better weld quality, a very consistent weld. It's aesthetic for them. They make a consumer product. They do custom mailboxes. We have some customers that have had a system for years. They'll tell you that the question, Matt, it depends on, am I going to make the part again? If I'm going to make the part again, the volume level that I will make a program is 1. If I'm never going to make it again, maybe 3 to 5. And he's like, if it's more than 3 or 5, I'm going to put it on the Cobot. Just because quality, the fact that they can put their fabricators on more complex jobs that the Cobot can't do. They've been able to take their weld shop from being a single shift, handful of welders doing a small amount of business in a big sheet metal facility, to it's a dominant part of their business today with a ton of welders, and they're welding really big things that they could have never done before. And it's because they've offloaded all the little things to the Cobots. So it really depends. And then we have customers that are literally welding thousands a day. And you ask them, why don't you have a traditional robot? Complexity of programming, size of the cell. We're a small shop. We don't have the footprint that the traditional cell was going to take that was big enough to actually do our part.
Yeah.
So just depends.
Yeah, so floor space is another big advantage then of a Cobot over a robot. even if you have the volume.
Yeah, so like our small cell starts as a 4 foot by 4 foot roughly cell. So you can literally shove it into a traditional manual weld bay. And we have a lot of customers that literally open the curtain, shove it into the weld bay, shut the curtain, and go to town. And so they're able to get, 3 to 4 foot part on that cell. Well, that's, you look around the show, that's a lot of what everybody's showing is these small parts that can go on a small tabletop. And so you've got something that takes up the space of a human.
What's up, guys? This is Casey with MakingSparks. I'm interrupting the current episode to bring you your spark of knowledge. Sitting with me is Adam Schmidt from ProFab Alliance.
Hey, Casey, got a question for you. Do you ever feel like your business has plateaued and you want to revitalize it with growth and continuous improvement?
Yeah, all the time.
Well, at ProFab Alliance, we understand those challenges that are associated with running a business. And, that's why we're excited to introduce our peer groups. So these peer groups, they're small, intimate groups with individuals from similar industries spread out across the region. And we're going to tackle best practices, challenges. So each one of these groups are going to be led by a ProFab team member. You're going to meet regularly. Just think of the benefits that you'd have being able to share that wealth of knowledge and learn from, the mistakes and successes of other businesses. So if you are interested, please go to profaballiance.com, learn more, or sign up. That's profaballiance.com.
I'm familiar with you guys. We actually own, full disclosure, we own a HireBotics Cobot Welding machine, which works very well for us, by the way. What are you guys doing outside of the welding Cobots, which is my only exposure to you all?
So outside of welding, we do cutting. So those we've chosen over the last few years to really focus on that market. It's a large need in the market as far as labor shortages. When we started HireBotics back in 2015, the reason we started the company was to solve a labor problem. So I've been in manufacturing since the mid 90s. My partner's been in manufacturing since the late 2000s. We had faced that labor shortage of we just can't hire enough people to come in and run the factories. And we didn't even do welding. It was assembly, it was machine tending, it was putting things together, electric motors, pumps, clamps, whatever you name it. And so we really set out, Cobots became a thing. UR launched in 2012 in the US. We got our first 14 of them in 2014 at our plant. And we saw this as a tool for manufacturers to be able to start solving this labor problem in a meaningful way. Not just let me go spend $500,000 on a robot cell, but meaningfully go after that labor problem. So we started the company and we literally challenged ourselves. If we thought a robot could do it, we did it. So we did all sorts of goofy integrations and we did full custom turnkey stuff. So we've done press brakes and punch presses and CNC machines and testing equipment and fastener insertion, rivets, screws, bolts, you name it. And we actually got approached in 2018 and said, hey, there's a huge welder shortage. At the time we rented everything out. We actually hired, hence the name HireBotics. We hired robots out like you would hire a person. And they're like, hey, you hire robots, we rent out equipment. There's got to be a way to make a rental robot that we can hire out to people to help solve this labor. So we set out to develop the first gen product and we looked around and we were like, hey, this is a real need. And this is a product. It's not one-off jobs like we were doing before where everything was custom and unique and a long-lived project. And so in early 20, we decided to focus solely on welding. We wound down the machine tending side of our business in the rental side. And so in 20, we really focused on welding. The pandemic didn't help. And then in 21, we launched the current generation product called Beacon. And it took off, right? We're selling a lot of systems today in the hundreds. And so we've really, as we've gone global, we've got systems all over the world now, Australia, Middle East, South America, Latin America, Mexico, Canada, the US. We run into that labor problem everywhere we go. I was in Australia back in April. I was at the big trade show down there, the FabTech of Australia. It's called Australian Manufacturing Week. And everybody I talked to down there was, why are you here? We don't have enough labor. We can't hire enough. We have more demand. Middle East, we have stuff in the Middle East, same problem. We just shipped a system to Paraguay a couple weeks ago, labor. So we've decided to just really focus on continuing to drive down ease of use to make the product as simple as possible so that it's as easy to use and easy to learn.
I find that to be probably the bigger barrier now than cost. The cost of a robot now is approaching the annual income of a welder. And at max, we're talking 2x, which most shops will tell you 2 and 3 year ROI. You'll take that all day long. So if a robot's going to cost me 2 times an annual salary, ROI box is checked.
Right.
It's you hit the nail on the head. It's an ease of use. It's intimidating. It's who's going to learn how to do it, who's going to figure all this out. So
Yes, I mean, when we set out to write the software, right, it's run on a smartphone. You can program your robot from a phone, a tablet, the web. We just launched now at IMTS, we launched Beacon now runs on the Universal Robots Teach Pendant. Can be completely offline now, right? We've always historically been cloud connected. All of our robots for the last 9 years have all been cloud connected. We now have full offline capability as well. So the defense contractors that can't use anything in the cloud now have access to Beacon. Why did we do that? Because we set out to build software that doesn't look like a traditional welding robot software. Yeah, we have a lot of the same features as traditional robots, but we do it in a way that I should be able to watch a 2-minute YouTube video and learn how to run my software. I shouldn't need to go away for a week-long training class to learn how to run my robot. Because how often do you hear the guy goes, yeah, I sent the guy off for a week-long class, he came back, he got really good at the robot, and then went next door to make $3 more an hour. Now I got to send another guy to class. Or I only have 1 or 2 guys that can run it.
yeah.
You know, we've got a customer, they have traditional robots, they have some of our competitors' robots, and they have ours. And they're, you know, the big difference between our system and the others is they have 15 or 20 people in the shop that can run ours, program it, not just run it, but program it. They have 1 or 2 people that can program the others. So we are all about that simplicity. We're all about support. You know, we build everything directly into that app. Why should you need to pick up a phone for support when you're already in a programming interface? Why not just be able to go right in the programming interface, open up support tab and have a message and have a conversation with the support team, no matter where you're at in the world. We support Australia the same way we support Nashville where we're at.
I'd like to shift the conversation a little bit. Since you're a co-founder and we run businesses and stuff, and a lot of our listeners are people that run businesses. You said you were in manufacturing and then you guys started HireBotics because you saw there was a need. How's that journey been, co-founding HireBotics to where you're at now? Like it sounded like you started, you said in like 14, 15, right? And now you're here almost 10 years later. What's that journey been like?
So it's been a long journey. I mean, I tell everybody, I think everybody says it's no one's business, right? If you knew what you know now, you probably wouldn't go back and do it over, right? Because it's painful. You know, we joke, you know, some of our early employees are still with us. Matter of fact, employee number 1 still works for us. He's our director of sales. Started off as a mechanical engineer with us. And, you know, he'll say the first year he was with us, he aged 7 years. It was like dog years, right? Because, I mean, it's high pressure. You know, there's nobody there to backstop you. It is you, right? If you don't get it done, you don't eat. I'm a big boy. I like to eat. You know, so it's a lot of hours. I mean, you're putting in a lot of hours. You're really looking for that fit where you have found what works. And so like for us, it was all about being agile and nimble and realizing we may not have the right answer yet and being willing to accept that we don't have the right answer and keep pivoting that business until we found what fit and what resonated with the customers.
You're the second guest today that has said that, and we have experienced that as well. And so I would just say to our listeners, we have a lot of leaders and owners out there, and that you can have value to deliver, but you just haven't figured out exactly how to package it yet to connect with the customer. And so we've experienced that ourselves. And so you're right. You shouldn't give up on the idea just because it hasn't taken off quite like you think it should yet. And you just may have to reposition it. You may have to niche down tighter, or you may have to go broader. But
the one caveat I would say to that is, you know, if you've got a solution, but you're looking for the problem,
right,
you got a problem.
Yeah.
You know, you need to go find that problem that you need to solve. So like when we started HireBotics, we had the labor problem. And we said, let's go solve that labor problem.
Right.
You know, we have unfortunately, is an ex-competitor that had a great solution.
Yeah.
They just hadn't found the problem that it solved yet.
Right.
And, you know, they started about the same time we did, a little bit later, very similar models, but they never found that problem they were trying to solve.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we came out of the industry. So like we like to tell everybody, especially in Cobot Welding, we're not welders by background. Yes, I owned a fabrication company for a number of years. I started it, I ran it, the economy tanked in 08 and we closed it up. We weren't solving a problem in the industry. We were making a niche product for a hobby. We made really hardcore off-roading products. When the economy collapsed in 08, nobody was hardcore off-roading. We didn't have a problem to solve. We had a great solution, no problem. So you got to make sure you're solving that problem. And, you know, especially people looking to go, hey, I want to go start a business. Solve a problem you have.
Yeah.
Find a problem that you're passionate about solving, because If you're passionate about solving that problem, you're going to do whatever it takes to knock down whatever brick walls are put up in front of you, and they will get put up every single day. We're almost 10 years into the journey. There's still brick walls put up every single day. There's days you look at each other and you're like, why are we still doing this? Like, why are we banging our heads on the wall? And it's like, because we have a problem to solve, and we still think we have the best solution for that problem. And there's things that we still need to do to make that solution better, to go out and make it broader, to find more people that we can help.
Yeah, amen to that. I totally agree. That was when I wrote the business plan for ProFab. That was one of the very first things I put is this is the problem we're solving in the marketplace. The problem we're solving with ProFab is that there's a lot of aging owners in the fabrication business that are looking to exit their business. It's a very decentralized industry we're in that's getting consolidated, and there wasn't a good mechanism out there to transact small owner-operator businesses. It just, there was a huge problem that we were hearing it from sellers, from brokers, from buyers, and so we set out to do that. But you're absolutely right. You have to, but we've continued to iterate how we're going about solving that problem. We never thought we would be in the franchising business, but here we are because we found, oh my gosh, this is a major solution to solve this problem that we hadn't even really realized as we were, walking into this. So
yeah, I mean that's the same thing we've done, right? We have continued to pivot the business. Will we always be welding? Probably not. We're already looking at what's in the future for us. But the problem we're solving is labor. At the end of the day, the core problem that we have been trying to solve since day one has remained labor.
yeah,
I can remember you're talking about your business plan. We actually had a slide deck when we were trying to get investors many years ago. And literally the first slide was, what is the problem we're solving? The problem is manufacturers can't hire enough people.
yeah,
And, in stop. That's it. How are we going to fix that problem? Well, we're going to make robots easy enough to use that you don't need to hire the people, you hire the robot.
yeah.
Now you buy the robot, because we found, for us, we were like, hiring the robot makes the most sense. You don't have to have the capital. I can pay it by the hour. It's an OpEx, not a CapEx. But we just kept hearing from manufacturers, I want to own my capital equipment. I want to own it. I don't want to worry about, if it's sitting in the corner, I got to pay you anyways. If it's sitting in the corner, I own it, I don't care.
Yeah.
So we pivoted the model and we said, get rid of the hire model and go to selling. We listened to what the customers had to say so we can continue to help them solve that problem.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty good conversation. Anything, Casey? Any follow-ups you have?
I like listening to you guys because you guys talk all about the technology and I just kind of hang out. So, But Matt, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. Appreciate you sharing a few different sides of wisdom. You talk to the people that on the operation side, why they should be using cobots and robots, but then also you gave a little bit of leadership knowledge there at the end that I'm really appreciative. I'm in the middle of my business. I started it 4 years ago, and I take as much advice, whether it's solicited or not.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So I appreciate you coming on. I want to give another shout out to Pacific Press Holdings for sponsoring all these episodes. We filmed a whole bunch today. Pacific Press Holdings is manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic brakes and presses. And if you haven't checked them out at pacific-press.com or multipress.com to see some of their presses. Again, appreciate them sponsoring all these episodes, and appreciate people listening. If you enjoy MakingSparks, we basically have came up on a year of really doing this. We launched it last FabTech, this
crossed
podcast.
the year.
And if you enjoy it, please like, share, comment on LinkedIn, comment on Facebook. Let us know, engage with us. Tag HireBotics in the episode. Do whatever you got to do to give us some engagement. But to sign off, if you're not making sparks,
You're not making money.